Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Better day. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, come on in. I need a little. Hey. What's today? The 23rd, 25. Interesting. I sent something to myself. Oh, here it is. Good morning, y'all. Hey. Oh, this light. I need a new ring light. Good morning. How y'all doing? This way. I'm, y'all, I am, what am I doing? Trying to get it together. That's what I'm doing, trying to get it together. Greetings. Come on into the room. Ooh. Come on, y'all. This is just, thank you for your patience. Trying to get all things up and running. Good morning. I am here. Ashe to the O. I'm here. Let me make sure I'm up and running in both spaces. And I am a man. Good morning. Let's go see who's here. I know I'm super late, not a little, but super. And yet I'm here. Amen, Ashe. Listen, today I want to invite you all over. I want to get on the virtual church van and to come with us as we travel down and over to Memphis, Tennessee, to Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church, where my friend, the Reverend Earl J. Fisher, PhD, is the pastor. Lady Denise Fisher, who journeys alongside him in the ministry. Also known as the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County. Ashe. Yeah. So we're going over there at 10 a.m. Central, which is 11 a.m. Eastern if you are in Eastern Standard Time Zone. Now, also, I'm going to be on the live because, the sermon, I just recorded it last night. And I have to go to church today. I have to go in the building today because what? Because the girls are ministering. Help me, somebody. I feel like the old days when you was in church all day. So I'm not, if they've not danced yet, then I will be, ching, ching, chinging on the live while I'm sitting in the church house. Yes, I will be. So I'm going to be there with you all, right in that chat as we are doing our call and response. So come on over. Make sure that you come over. Pink Robe Chronicles. Dr. Earl is in the building. Pastor Earl is on the live right now. Make sure Carmen and them or whomever is on here in charge of the transportation, make sure that the people get on the bus and that the links are posted. Anyone from the Village Keeper Clearing Pink Robe Chronicles family can list. I've listed it on my timeline, and you could go right to the Abyssinian Facebook page. And I know that Pastor Earl will be sharing as well. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, good morning. And that also means that we will be going to the clearing, but it will be abbreviated today because last time I was late and I missed the whole dance, child. Even though they're doing the same dance from Black History Month that I done seen 1,000 times, you know that really doesn't matter. What matters is they want to see you there. So we missed it last time because we were late because I didn't get off the clearing in time. So I'm going to do my best to be where I'm supposed to be, Ashe, and I will meet y'all back at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Central Time. And we will also do the clearing right after this. Ashe. Good morning, good morning, good morning to every one of you. Also, please, for those of you, please, ma'am, please, sir. I had to lift my... want to remind you, for those of you who've been inquiring, Freeze fundraiser for the Jabberwock Scholarship program, the Jabberwock Scholarship and Pageant program is still going. She is still raising funds. Free has a $20,000 goal, and she is raising her funds right now. You can screenshot this and email it to yourself. I know there's an easier way, but I can't remember. And then put your phone up to the QR code, right? So you can screenshot this QR code and you can make your donation to Free Samson Young right there. It's going to come to me, come to the Pink Robe Chronicles. But just want you to know that every cent that Free raises goes towards her scholarship. Free has a 4.5 GPA. She is the vice president of the student body. She is the president of the Ebony Society. She is a cadet in Girl Scouts. She has received her silver and bronze award from the White House, the Biden administration. She is a tutor. She participates in, her dance ministry, the young people's ministry at church. Free is all things, and she loves to just be with the people. And so for those of you who have encountered her, you know that indeed she is well worthy of your donations. And so I'm just thanking you in advance for doing that. Ashe. Ashe. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let me pick this phone up one more time. Just wanted to let people get here. And because I worked all day yesterday, what I have to say today is not long. And it's not it's the different thoughts. Same premise, different thoughts, right? It's not the same sermon that will be preached today at 10 a.m. Central Time. So I want to just lead in with this.
Of course, we all know these events happen very rapidly, and as there's a gun emerging in your direction, you're forced to make a split-second decision about when it's a threat.
Chief Huffman, no, hold on. Chief Huffman, no, do not. Okay, I'm not a threat. I don't have a gun. Okay, don't treat me like I'm a threat. This is what I would call the anatomy of a cover-up. This is unacceptable. I'm sorry, it is. When I agreed to work with you on the work group, we talked about the importance of transparency and accountability. And here, what we are seeing is business as usual. And you know this, Amelia. You know this, Jacob. I don't know how you guys slept that night. I couldn't sleep at night. Tears from a mother's perspective, thinking about what happened. I saw the picture of Amir. He looks like a boy. My son is 17 years old. He has slept on his friends' couches for sleepovers. So we cannot sit here and whitewash this and pretend that it's okay. You knew that I was not going to stand for police violence and a push for accountability, yet you asked me to be a part of the work group. And I knew what I thought I was signing up for. This isn't what I signed up for. I understand if you're not comfortable having me continue to co-chair, that's your prerogative. I signed up to help bring recommendations because we're tired of being killed. We're tired of the cover-ups. We're tired of the excuses. And to hide behind the St. Paul Police Department, the deadliest police force in the state of Minnesota, is unacceptable. You all had no business agreeing to carry out a warrant, and now you're claiming that's part of their investigation. You don't know. Well, why the hell did you all sign up to do this in the first place? There was a homicide that happened at 1-something in the morning on Hennepin Avenue. Someone was killed, and then the person drove away in a black SUV. They're still at large in Minneapolis, potentially a threat to residents. But you all go do something for St. Paul Police, and now you're trying to hide behind that decision. It's not acceptable. We are ready for change. When the people voted to re-elect you, Jacob, they not only showed that they wanted to see a new leader, right? Not saying you're not the person who got reelected, you got reelected. But what they were expecting is a new beginning. That's why they gave you more power and authority. So that is what we want to see as the residents of Minneapolis. We don't want to see cover-ups. We don't want to see whitewashing. People are asking very simple questions that have still not been answered. Amelia, you're saying you want to be the chief? Then act like it. Demonstrate integrity. Don't cover up for what those cops did. If they knew that the kid had a gun as he started waking up, say, drop your weapon. They didn't do that. One cop opened fire and took the life of a child who was trying to go back into his blanket. Any mom can see what happened there. So I can't tolerate the whitewashing. I'm sorry, y'all. We can't do this. I know you have your narrative. I know you have your script. And no, you guys didn't personally go shoot somebody. But you do have the opportunity to make it right. To talk about the fact that you changed the no-knock warrant policy. Where's the evidence of that? That wasn't present on what happened to Amir Locke. So if I'm going to be the co-chair of this group, I'm expecting strong leadership. I'm expecting integrity. And I'm expecting accountability. Yes. You guys aren't going to waste my goddamn time. And I don't care. You guys had your security trying to stop me. I can be used to come speak the truth about what needs to happen, but when it's time to call out these inconsistencies, these inaccuracies, the lack of information, I got to sit in the back or even not even be invited. I'm not here for it. We fought too long, too hard. There's people in jail, including Cortez Rice, trying to get the court to show what's happening in the courtroom so people can see what's going on. People have put their lives on the line because we're ready for change. So we're expecting from this point forward for you guys to do something different. I'm not playing. We're not here for it. We're not here for it. I'm only committed to working on this work group if you all are committed to.
Okay. Man. Okay. The word, every word for the people. And we say thanks be. Because we need people who are standing 10 toes down like that, who are willing to interrupt the status quo, who are willing to let their voices be heard. Ashe, I heard also, I saw a reel this week where the one who holds the office was hosting a meeting with governors, and in the meeting he was telling the states how they needed to comply, and he said, where is the governor of Maine? And a woman said, I'm here. And the governor said, well, are you going to comply? And she said, I'm going to follow the state and the federal law. And he said, well, we are the federal law, so you need to apply or you're not going to get any funding. And she said, I'll see you in court. Baby. Listening to both of these, morning to everybody. I didn't get to say any names this morning, but good morning to you all. listening to these the sister who just spoke, who was on some kind of committee, but who interrupted the press conference, interrupted the mayor and the interim chief of police to say, y'all lying and y'all still trying to do a cover up, has given me the encouragement, or I guess restored a modicum of hope. And I just want to tell us that even in the trenches, even only 53 days in, even at the beginning of this, I want to prophesy and say that better days are coming. Hallelujah. Yes, I needed to say it to myself because I was going way down in a cycle, way down somewhere into the abyss where I was not able to, I could feel myself slipping. I hear DMX, I'm slipping. I also hear, man, I can't call their name right now. It's on the tip of my tongue, but slipping in the darkness, right? I could feel myself slipping this week at work. I sat in the car once we got to work and cried. Like I felt it come on when I pulled onto campus. It wasn't out of nowhere, right? The cry really wasn't out of nowhere, but I felt it. It just sort of had been rumbling around deep in my belly, and I'd been trying to suppress, not go there, feeling like if I were to bring out the fullness of my emotions that I would scream a river, not cry a river. But I sat in the car. Shout out to my partner. I was about to say my sponsor. My partner, D, for listening, for just holding the space. And I mean, I cried. It wasn't like a little few tears. I cried. I let out the anger. I let out not all, but just a piece of what I've been feeling, identifying and acknowledging the fear. Fear that comes not so much for me, if I can tell the truth, but for my daughters, for our daughters, the world that they are inheriting, the policies that are being put in place to restrict them, to restrict their movement, to restrict their autonomy, their choice, the now stress and strain that our daughters feel with now the college application process. Will they be able to receive financial aid? Will there be scholarships for them? Questions that I did not have to consider and or worry about, yet here we are at the 11th and 12th grade, the 10th and 11th grade, in just a little while, by the fall, the 11th and 12th grade. And these are the questions that are on the table. But when I ran across the women folk, something tapped me and said, hey sis, it's okay, and you need to feel, and don't run from grief, and feel your grief, because grieving is an act of justice. But also get a little restorative hope here by seeing that there are people who are not being silent. And so it reminded me, yes, Soror, that better days are coming, but we gonna have to produce them. Ashe? So with me, you know where I am in my favorite book, Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 13. All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. All these people still living by faith when they died, they did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. May our hearing and doing be blessed. Beloved, we indeed are living in times that test the very fabric of our faith. We have seen the light. We have followed the light. We believed. We marched. We organized. We voted. We cried out against injustice. Yet, here we are, watching the crumbling of democracy, the rise of oppression, and the tightening of the noose of white supremacy and patriarchal violence, of transphobia, and the like. It is frustrating, it is disheartening, and it is exhausting. We are suffering from justice fatigue. We are tired, and whatever else is beyond tired, we are wounded, battled, fatigued, a bit cynical, somewhat pessimist, light on the optimism. And yet, this might rub some folk the wrong way, especially those who say that this is a new movement. We are not the first to feel this way. Yes, Ronnie Ward, thank you. 1971, the year of my birth. Ashe, that's my dad's favorite song. Hebrews 10:39 tells us, but we are not among those who shrink back and so are lost, but among those who have faith and so are saved. Y'all know this. This journey of faith is not one of comfort, but of courage. That to follow Jesus is to stand on business, as the sister just did. And it is to speak prophetically, as the sister just did. It is also, friends, to gain more enemies than friends. My God. Can we stop right there? That to follow Jesus is to gain more enemies than friends. Because some of us misunderstand meek and mild for silent and friendly. But that when you are speaking out against the empire, when you are disregarding Caesar, when your body does, when the spirit does to your body, what it did to Jarena Lee in the 1800s, the late 1800s, when she, by her own account, was sitting in the AME church there, and and someone was preaching after she had asked Richard Allen, after she told Richard Allen that she was called to preach, that the Spirit had told her what the Spirit wanted her to do. And Richard Allen said there was no place for ordaining women, but that what he would do was allow her to stand up and exhort, meaning she could be a praiser and a worshiper. She could be on the praise and worship team, or she can get the people pumped up before the preacher, but she could not by any means be licensed, let alone ordained to preach. So she was given permission to praise and worship, to exhort, to give honor publicly. But she says in her autobiography that she was sitting there and the person was preaching and the person was failing miserably. And she says, recounting, and before I knew it, the Spirit had got a hold of me and I leapt up and walked to the front and I began to exhort. This is what happened to the sister, in my opinion, that we just watched, that her body had a reaction that did not allow her mind to catch up. And before she knew it, she was walking herself up to the front of this press conference. And then she had to acknowledge and identify her humanity to say to those who would attempt to stop her, I am not carrying a weapon. I am a human being and you will treat me as such. Friends, when you speak out, when you move, when you respond to the fire that Jeremiah speaks up as being shut up in your bones, when you sense that you have no bodily control, that you are moving totally by the Spirit. Yes, and the Spirit will always give you some strategy, right? A strategy that you may not know what it is until you're in the moment. I'm telling you that you're going to gain some enemies. When you follow the way, they coming. They are coming to follow Jesus. But here's the thing. Let me not move on too quickly. But this following Jesus piece. This is what, again, Hebrews 10:39 is meaning when it says, listen, you can't shrink back because what you receive by way of your ancestors, by way of those who also follow Jesus, what you'll understand is they're gathering, knowing that this way of enlightenment, it was... it gave them perseverance to be able to withstand. So here they are being saved, meaning they have been liberated from the fear of death. So in the moment when the sister stands, in the moment when U.S. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is speaking, in the moments when AOC and others are speaking, in the moments when other of us who are prophetically preaching, in the moments when folks are coming for us and the Spirit will not let us remain silent, it is then that we relinquish over our fear. Over our fear, because now we know that death is right, possibly imminent. And yet we still cannot be muzzled, even knowing the possibility of what is on the other side. And that, the Hebrew writer says, is what salvation is. That salvation that even unto death, oh my goodness, even unto death. Can I tell you something? That death is the ultimate initiation in the Christian tradition. Friends, I'm not trying to kill us off. And some of you might be saying, Melva, we need a word of life in the midst of an administration that's already trying to kill us. Melva, this is not pastoral. This is not quite ethical for you to tell a people that is scrambling, for you to tell the sub-oppressed, for you to tell us that we need to look forward to death. Friends, I'm not telling you to look forward to death. I'm telling you that that's the agreement that you made. I am telling you that when you were the word, you made this agreement that you would come in this dispensation of time, that you would not be silent, that when the Spirit moved, it is the attachments, those things that have attached itself onto us as we travel this lifetime, that has caused us to walk with muted voice. But friends, if we are actually following the way, then we understand that Jesus's fate, his agreement, not his fate, was ultimately what? Death on a state-sanctioned cross. Why? Because he refused. He refused to accept not only empire, but even his religious traditions. Disavow of the covenant that the first shall be last, and that the last shall be first, that the least of these, that God comes for those whose backs, according to Howard Thurman, are against the wall. Death then becomes the highest initiation of our Christian rights. The problem is that this Christianity, this invention of Christianity, is no longer a right. It's a religion. Friend, y'all don't hear me today. Yeah, it's no longer a right, a ritual, an understanding, but it is a religion. And when things become a religion, with these religions, yes, Jamesina, born to die. And when things become a religion, then we got to create doctrines to keep people confined within the religion. Then we have to create rules to keep people held down in the religion. We have to create rules and prescriptions that police people's bodies, that police people's thoughts, and from those rules come a toxic way of thinking and talking about God. Hence, our tragic theologies are trapped. They are trapped in our limited minds, and these minds are prescripted and or even bribed by by those who don't even see us as humans. And even though we started coming from the hush harbors into the institutional church in the early 19th century, something was lost as we moved from the harbor into the building. While the building represented the highest form in our mind of maybe equality, of being seen as having our humanity acknowledged, even when that humanity can only be acknowledged in our own communities, that when we built buildings, then there had to be some governance in the building. But not only did governance have to be in the building, we had, in order for us to be considered, what's the word I'm looking, not valuable, to have some credit, in order for us to be seen as credible and in the line of a tradition, then we just tweak some things. But the problem with tweaking some things, just because you put the word black on it, or just because you put the word African American on it, does not necessarily mean that it is of value. Friends, it's like some gospel rappers, old school gospel rappers, not the ones I hear today, because I actually like them, but that will take a beat on a secular song, remove the words that the artist actually intended, and say Jesus, and all of a sudden this is gospel, baby. And just because, can I let you in on something else? Just because something is black doesn't mean that it's Pan-African. Just because you say African American, for some of you, doesn't mean that it's African centered. African American, a word introduced to us by Jesse Jackson, because Jesse felt like we didn't have a home, that we didn't have a landmass, and we don't. Come on, my new African people who understand what it means to free the land, to be sovereign. And while we are not there yet, this identity of being African and American, everybody wasn't happy with it. But Jesse saw a better day. And what I'm simply saying is, just because something is identified as African American, heavy on the American, does not mean that people understand the necessity and the value and the importance of being Pan-African, of being African centered. Because some of y'all are aesthetic Africans. Yeah. Some of y'all only pull out your cowrie shells on Black History Month. Yeah. On Sankofa Sunday. Help me, Holy Ghost. Some of y'all only really preach black on Sankofa Sunday. And Sankofa Sunday is usually always in Black History Month. Why? Because you don't believe that your congregation will support this kind of preaching. You don't believe that your congregation will continue to pay their tithes and their offerings if you are not preaching to them. But friends, can I let you in on something? Your agreement is not to preach to them. Your agreement is to preach the gospel. Come on in here today, Melva. Come on. Come on. It is to preach the gospel. Yeah, but to follow Jesus, it is to know, friends, it is to know that the road ahead is uncertain. Yeah, that when you push forward, that the road is uncertain. When you decide you're going to say something, it's not when you decide. When the Spirit says it's time, when the Spirit hit go, it is uncertain. But we walk it anyway because we trust God. We trust in the God of the unseen. Hebrews 11:1 reminds us, now faith. So see, walk it back. Don't shrink back, because you don't come from people who are lost, but you come from people who have faith. And so they are liberated from the fear of death. Now that they have been liberated, we can understand that faith then. How were they liberated? This faith. The clarity is now faith is the substance of things hoped for, and it is the evidence of things not seen. Our ancestors knew this kind of faith. Before, I think it's 11:1a, it says our ancestors, their ancestors for whom this book is the author is writing to, their ancestors received approval because of their faith. They knew this kind of faith. Come on, we tweaked when we should have twerked. Come on, Ronnie G. You ain't never lied. Oh. But our ancestors didn't just dream about freedom. They produced it. They didn't just dream about freedom, y'all. They produced it. They couldn't see the promised land with their own eyes, but they knew it was there. Up above my head, I see, walk in the light. Come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright, and then shine all around us by day and by night. Come on, coded language. Jesus, the light of the world. Wade in the water. Come by here, my Lord. Listen, they could not see it, but they refused to believe that their current circumstance was their future. My goodness, today. They believed, I said they didn't just dream about freedom, they produced it. They couldn't see the promised land with their own eyes, but they knew it was there. They believed in a future they would never enter, yet they fought for it anyway. My God, this is the faith, friends. I don't know if you still gonna fight. Will you still fight for justice? Will you fight for it anyway if you know that it's a justice you may never see? Oh, Melva. Oh, Melva. Jesus, my God. Hey. I got to pause right there. Are you to believe in what you may never experience? Jesus knew he would be killed. He knew it. And even in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he thought to say, listen, he knew it. He knew it. And it was confirmed when he met with his ancestors up on the mount. He knew what would be waiting for him. His humanity is what tried to struggle and to say, God, if it's your will though, but listen, if there's anything that you could do so that I could do another agreement, because I don't want to do this one. He knew that that's what he came to earth to do, that he was born to die. He knew this. See, the problem, friends, the problems with our understanding of Christianity, with our understanding of the way, is we have bought in to this from everlasting to everlasting. We have bought into this idea of eternal life, misunderstanding what is really meant by eternal life and or the space of eternity. That eternal life does not mean that we will be in these physical bodies forever and ever. It doesn't even mean that when we cross to the other side that we will still have these bodies. For the text says that it is ashes to ashes, that from dust we come come, and to dust this body will return. Our living on forever is dependent upon the future we produce. That as we produce the future, as our names are spoken for the work we've done, then we continue to live on. Friends, we have to detach ourselves from the desire to believe that the justice that we are fighting is solely for us. Will you fight even though you may not live to see it? Dr. King said, I may not get there with you. When Malcolm X, when our elder brother, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, was murdered in the Audubon Theater 60 years ago, February 21st, 1964, when he was murdered, he had already come to the idea, to the realization that he had reached the agreement and fulfilled the agreement, which was to bring the movement of believers in the Islamic faith together and to make connections beyond Islam. And when he came to this awareness, he knew that his enemies would be so great that the possibility of death would become now imminent. Will you fight for it anyway? I talk more about this in the sermon I'm preaching over at Abyssinian at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. So I'm going to pause there on it because I talk more about it over there. We walk it anyway. This is the faith we have to embody. Harriet Tubman just didn't talk about liberation. She created it with every journey on the Underground Railroad. My God. Woo! Jesus. Because she had been saved. She was saved. What you mean? She had been liberated from the fear of death. She said she had an Esther spirit. If I perish, but I'm going to go free my people. Fannie Lou Hamer registered to vote knowing she would be beaten, knowing she would be arrested and threatened with death. She wasn't seated in the 1964 Democratic Convention. She didn't get a seat. But because she saw it in the distance, because she made the attempt to fight, regardless if she would ever see it or not, and because even though she didn't get the seat at the convention with the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, in 1972, though, she produced a future so that Shirley Chisholm could run for president and be the first Black woman to run for the Democratic Party's nomination. And Shirley Chisholm, who ran with all of her might, who believed that she was making such powerful change, and maybe even had a glimmer of hope. But she did not win the nomination. She did not win the nomination because those who said they would support her did not. And even those brothers in her party, who were supposed to turn their backs against her and sold out at the last minute when she needed their vote. But even though she didn't, decades later, Kamala Harris became vice president of the United States. And then she won the actual Democratic nomination. Do you see the trajectory here? They were faith in motion. They did not just believe, but Harriet, Sojourner, Fannie, Shirley, and even Kamala built a future. Whether they lived to see a black woman as president. They have already built a future. They have set a precedent. And we too, friends, must be builders of the future. Afrofuturism teaches us that we must imagine beyond the limitations of this present reality. Faith, then, faith is believing in the not yet, even when the right now makes it seem impossible. Faith is believing in the not yet, even when the right now makes it seem impossible. If our ancestors could trust in the future that they could not see, your ancestors saw you. Baby, let me make this more plain, even more plain. I carry 12 generations in me, that when my daughter was born, she was born with all of her eggs. When I was born with all of my eggs. So not only did I bring our daughters here, I brought my grandchildren here. And not only did my mother bring me here, she brought Free and Phoenix here. And not only did my grandmother bring my mother here, but she brought me here. And not only did my great-grandmother Mamie bring Inez here, she brought my mother Norvell here. And not only did my great-great-grandmother Addie bring Mamie here, but she brought Inez here. And not only did my great-great-grandmother Diana bring Addie here, she brought Mamie here. Friends, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I am saying? What the Spirit is saying? That faith is believing in the not yet, even when the right now makes it seem like it's impossible to do. If our ancestors could trust in the future, not just trust, but carry the future in their body, my God. If our ancestors carry the future in their bodies, then friends, I just want to tell you that we cannot afford to become apathetic or numb. We cannot shrink back. We have to find our lane and get in it. We see the devastation in our communities, the attacks on our history, our rights, and our dignity. But if our foreparents could fight through enslavement and segregation and systemic oppression, then surely we can fight through voter suppression, economic disparity, and political violence. Friends, better days got to come. It is the natural law. But better days are coming not because we wish them into existence, but because we produce them with our faith. We produce them with our work. We produce them with our witness. Like Hebrews 11:13 tells us, our ancestors died in faith, not having received the promises, but seeing them from a distance. They saw us before we ever arrived. I see my grandbabies. Even if our daughters never decide to produce or for some reason aren't able, I see my grandbabies, because it's not just a bloodline. It's a lineage. It's a communal lineage. I see them. I say these words. I speak this because I see the future I'm producing for them. If I never see it, God forbid, if my last breath is tonight, if I never see it, then let the words that I've done, let the work that I've done speak not only for me, but speak for the futures. Speak for the futures for those that are yet on the other side of time making the agreement. It's like dominoes that when you push one down, that the whole train goes down. But that is an expression of how we are inextricably and mutually linked. Friends, I see our community. And for those of you who say, but I don't have children. Listen, I just told you it's not about a bloodline. It's about a lineage. Who do you see on the other side? How do you see it in the distance? Because they saw us before we ever arrived. And now it's our turn to see beyond our present struggle. For we are the continuation of their faith. And one day, generations from now, our names will be called as those who refused to shrink back, as those who stood firm, as those who created a future in the face of oppression. Friends, better days are coming. Better days are coming, but only if we, like our ancestors, refuse to let this present moment define the limits of our imagination. So keep on building, keep on marching. Don't get weary, children. Keep on producing. We are the hope of our ancestors, and we will be the foundation of generations to come. So has it been said, so will it be. I end with the words of my junior brother, creator of Black Men Smile, Carlton Mackey. He wrote at the end of a post I made, "When they push back, we push forward together." It is an expression of the Kiswahili term Pamoja Tuntashinda. We shall overcome, but not simply overcome, we will win together. Better days. Better days. Don't let it trap you right here. Get your therapist on deck. Get your group that's strong enough to hold your truth. Get your people. Don't get trapped right here. And let me say this one last thing as we're prepared to go over to the clearing. There's a blackout of blackout funds on the 28th of February. What you gonna do with the funds that you don't spend? Might I suggest that all of us, might I suggest that we give that 10, 20, 50, 100, whatever your daily spend is, that we find a HBCU to donate it to, that we find some brown, black creator, some LGBTQIA plus initiative, that we find something to give our funds to, not just hold them. Just don't hold the funds that you know are not spending in your storehouse, but how will we regenerate this dollar, friend? Because while they are pushing back on DEI, this is the ultimate time for us to show and to produce a future for those other brands that represent us and that are created for us and by us. Now, let me be truthful with you. On the 28th, I'm going to be traveling. But I'm going to do our best to gas up the night before so that as we travel to Atlanta, why are you going to Atlanta on the 28th, Pastor? I'm going to tell you. Shout out to the Black Student Caucus of Candler School of Theology at Emory University, who have selected me to receive the Felicia Pearson Smith Distinguished Alumni Award. I will be receiving the Distinguished Felicia Pearson Smith Alumni Award for my service, for my work. That the Black Student Caucus and whoever the determining bodies were are, whether it be Dr. Fry Brown and or others who assisted in making this decision, said, Melva, we want to acknowledge and honor you. RG, do you hear that? So I'm heading back to the A on the 28th to go to the Heritage Ball, that I can stand not in. Let me tell you why this name is so important. To shout out to my Queen Mother. Felicia Pearson Smith is my friend. She is my Queen Mother. And in 2003, when I started at Spelman and I met Felicia, I learned that she was the first Black woman to graduate from Candler School of Theology in 1977. And I thought it odd that I'd never heard her name. And I said, I know you lying. I marched right on over there to talk to Dr. Alton Pollard, who was the director of the Black Church Studies program at the time, and said, hey, do you know that Felicia Pearson Smith, the first Black woman to graduate from Candler School of Theology, works right over here at Spelman, that she's in the city, that she's from Atlanta? Come on, she's from Pittsburgh to be exact. And so the fact that I am receiving this distinguished alumni award, honoring the work that I'm doing and that I've done in her name, is not lost on me. And what I will say that on the 28th, even as our family is traveling, what we are committed to doing, because we're not going to be at home, so we need to eat, is supporting Black-owned businesses, right? So I think we need to tweak what we're saying, because some people take us literal when we say cease all spending. I'm not ceasing all spending. I'm spending Black and brown. I'm spending in alignment. I'm telling you right now, I'm on the road, and I'm not going to withhold the joy that is within me, the joy that is being bestowed upon me, as being honored in that way by staying home. I'm not sacrificing that because of this administration. I'm not going to do it. No, don't ask me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it, and not only in my honor, but in the honor of Felicia Pearson Smith, and in the honor of the brother for whom, Brother Oscar, that we are acknowledging. I believe it is the 60th year of his being admitted into Candler School of Theology. So, by your alignment, and for those who are totally blacking out, what will you do with your funds, friend? That's an important caveat. It is not just for you to have extra. It is for you to have extra so that you may then give back into the storehouse. Yes, on my page, I'll put up a link for those of you who are in the A and you want to come to the Heritage Ball to support me and to support the Black Student Caucus on the campus of Emory University. Then please, 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 I will share that up. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. I appreciate y'all big. I got to head over to the clearing for the only 15 minutes that we'll have together, because I got to get to church. But I'm going to see y'all in the chat. I'm going to see y'all at Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Central Time, right over there on Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church Facebook page, or go to Earl J. Fisher's page, because I'm sure he'll have it and he'll have the link. I want to see you, PRC, in the chat, because it's another powerful word and it's going to push us just a little bit further. There are some parts of it that's going to make you feel uncomfortable, and there are some parts that are going to have you scratching your head like, what is she talking about? I don't get it. But listen, we don't always get it on the first time. It has to sit and digest and marinate in our spirit. And then the spirit, I'm just planting the seed. But there are others that will water. And ultimately, who gives the increase? God. Amen. And I say, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So come on, get on the virtual church bus. Wherever you are, meet us right there in Memphis, Tennessee, Shelby County, at